Can you hear me?
Hi, Dana. Yes, I can hear you now.
Perfect. So now that you're here, I just was wondering if you could test your share screen functionality. Just to make
Oh,
sure
I
you.
thought you guys were going to do that.
Yeah, I can do it. I can do it. So let me pull up your presentation.
Okay.
Let's see. And you can just tell me your next, say like something like next slide or whatever,
Yeah, I'll do
and
that.
I'll
That would be
cycle
perfect.
through. Uh,
That sounds good. As long as it's working for you, okay.
So let's. So can you see your screen?
Um, it's coming up. Yep, there it is. You're
Okay,
probably going to
so
have a little bit of a delay with me because my Wi-Fi is not uh, broadband. So there sometimes is a little delay, but it shouldn't be too bad. There's not any storm going on or anything. So
okay, so we'll just so I can go into full screen. I can go into full screen mode, and so we can kind of
perfect.
go through here, and I can just kind of like cycle
Yeah,
through.
I'll just tell you next slide every time so you'll know.
Cool. And then
That'd be great.
Beth, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I've heard many, many good
Hi, Beth.
things, and it's nice that we're doing a brief chat that we're both water quality nerds.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Um, so I updated my presentation a little bit from the last one I sent you. Do you want me to send it to you or do you want me to just try to run it from my computer?
Yeah, you can run it from yours.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind just te testing the functionality. So if you could just try sharing your screen, and I'll keep the panelists unmuted. I'll read the bios. Beth, I caught your bio is on your website, so I just took
Okay. Yeah, that's
I,
fine.
I just used that, but I think Paul Byer in our office said hi to everybody. So when he saw the roster, he's like, "Oh, you got the all-star crew of regional planning agencies."
Sorry, I'm on a different computer and Sam has so much stuff open. I just had to close it all out. Like crazy the amount of stuff he's got open on his computer.
A busy office.
Yeah. I just couldn't even like get to when I hit share. I couldn't even get to the PDF part. Okay, let's see if I can even find it now.
Hey, Beth, are you able to share? You should be
It
able to.
is not, it's not on your end. It is 100% on my end. Um, I just for some reason can't. I've got it as a PDF, but it's not showing up for me as being something I can share. So
You can try closing the shares window. It has all those things that you have open, and then reopening it. Because sometimes when you open it, when you like hit share and then you open the presentation, it doesn't show up. So it only captures what's currently open on the screen. If it still doesn't work, you can just also send it to me and I can share for you too. Either way. Let me actually turn on my video so you can see me.
good thing we should have worked this out early, huh?
It's always good.
I'm always like a big believer in Murphy's Law.
You'd think after like 3 years we would have figured this technology
Oh,
thing out.
oh no, you'll
And
never figure
yeah,
it out. You know,
no,
I
not
think
even
there's a
close.
poltergeist that, follows
Yeah.
us around when we try to run
There it
meetings
is.
and figures out how to kind of like derail everything. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So I know, Beth, I know you have an engagement at 2. So I think that we'll try to be mindful of the time. I'll keep an eye on it, but I do think that um, we should have no issues. Well, everyone's webinar seems about the same length. I'm going to keep my remarks to a minimum, just introduce everybody. What we'll also do is as soon as the recording's available, we will share it with you guys so you can use it for your own agency's promotional purposes.
Right.
And then also, we also want to kind of say that we all, DOS is really interested in, working more closely with agencies like each of yours. And as we promote the grant programs, get folks more interested in BOA, Smart Growth, DRI, New York Forward, really make the connections to the community scale alongside you guys to really kind of highlight, the range of technical assistance options that folks have. Because I think a lot of people see grant programs and they get scared. They're like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? And then there's like a few communities who are
Right.
really good about taking advantage of, regional planning agencies, state assistance, et cetera. So we're hopeful that, we can, use this webinar as a launching pad and get more, more direct community involvement. And I'm one of like
Yeah.
18. There are 18 of us now for the DOS, but
Oh,
in this team. So, we have a wide range of folks, throughout this,
Great.
all eager to
Yeah.
help. I don't know if you guys met Amanda Bearcroft. She's the director of New York Forward and DRI to DOS now.
Not yet. No.
I think we've been on a couple of Zooms.
Yes, thanks so much for participating with Danny. This is going to be a great session that we can have that lives on our website now. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
And then furthering partnerships with the regions, because we think it's a great opportunity for communities. You guys have a lot of knowledge and resources.
It's great to have the chance to share through DOS. It's really a great opportunity for us, and we appreciate it.
We appreciate it. So thank you.
How many people do you have signed up for today?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh.
We'll find out.
How does it get advertised?
We have this big blast that goes out to all community partners and everyone that's shared their email with DOS. It's advertised on our website and socials.
Yeah, so we've been utilizing Granicus a lot in the past couple of months, and our comms team does a great job of putting that out there, but we also have the email list, like Danny said, to I think every municipality within the state. So it'll go out to like their mayor, supervisor, clerk, as well
Good.
as lists from previous like CFA grant awardees or people that have even applied through our programs and might not have been awarded. So all those channels it goes out to.
Good. Hopefully folks are not so buried in last minute vacations.
I know.
That's the trouble we've been having this last couple of weeks, is just getting anybody to pay attention to anything.
But it's cold now, so I think
Yeah, that might help.
So I have the I started the webcast and the meeting is recording, so we should be able to see the number of attendees viewing the streaming portal as we get started, but we'll probably start promptly at 12, and I think Chelsea will be joining. As soon as Chelsea joins us, we will have her hop on, and then once she gets on, we can either have her share her screen or I can do it for her. I have a presentation. So then we'll just start and I'll introduce everybody and I'll share my screen first. We have a brief, like, kind of just a few slides where I kind of go over ground rules. We can monitor the chat as well and go from there.
And once you guys
Good.
start, I'm just gonna obviously mute and shut off my camera. I'm not a part of it. I'll help with whatever you need, Danny, but you don't need to acknowledge me. I can start monitoring like things that come up in the chat. But yeah, it's all in your hands. So once that's on, I'm just gonna shut my camera off and be in the background.
I think Chelsea asked, what's the password? Oh, she's here. Hey,
Ignore my emails.
hey, Chelsea.
Sorry about
Yeah.
that. Hey.
So now that you're here, we just wanted to see if you would rather me share your screen presentation for you, or if you want to share it yourself. You should be enabled to, should have the ability to share your screen. But if, either way, just let me know if you have trouble. I can do it.
Yep, I have the ability. It looks like I can.
Yeah, so you're enabled to do that.
I'll share it myself. That'd be great.
Perfect. Okay, so then we're probably gonna get started promptly at maybe like we'll give it like 12:03, see if folks start coming in. And then we'll be sure to kind of get underway. Probably try to end at the same time, like 1:30, and just kind of out of respect for everybody's time. The meeting is going to be recorded, so that way I'll send the recording out to everybody as soon as it's up, and you guys can use it, of course. The presentation will live on our website, and I think that if anyone, like I said, there are 18 of us project managers all throughout the state, and we're all eager to build inroads with your organizations and help wherever we can. Build outreach, talk about, CFAs, talk about DRI New York Forward, have people ascribe names to faces and stuff. Like kind of what I usually say in the Mohawk Valley is if you ask me to come to a town board meeting or village board meeting, I will show up and you won't be able to get rid of me. So usually, we've had some good success, but I think we want to show that Albany is not some scary kind of agency, and we also kind of want partnerships with our regional counterparts too. I just feel like you guys do so much amazing work, that we feel like we want to hop on and help too, kind of. So
Teamwork.
yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. I mean, I should. Looks like I see some attendees coming, so we'll give it a few times. I just kind of wanted to see if functionality. I'm like testing some of the functionality on the back end. everybody. I did want to give folks a few minutes to get situated, and we are going to start promptly within 3 minutes. And if you have any questions, please use the chat function. If you have any trouble logging into the meeting, please send an email to daniel.lapin, Lapin, at dos.ny.gov, and it should be able to help you resolve your technical difficulties. Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's lunchtime webinar. Today, we're going to discuss how regional planning and development boards can level up your community's downtown planning efforts. I am really excited to have a panel of excellent speakers on standby today. My name is Danny Lapin. I am a revitalization specialist with the New York State Department of State's Office of Planning, Development, and Community Infrastructure. And our agency works on a wide variety of planning programs throughout New York State, ranging from DRI and New York Forward to our Smart Growth Community Planning Program and our Brownfield Opportunity Area Program. Before we get underway, I would like to provide kind of a brief reminder on a few ground rules. Please be sure to keep your microphone muted. Please type any questions you have in the chat and I will monitor those and we'll answer Q&A at the end. This webinar will be recorded, so if you or your organization cannot attend this meeting, it will be available on the Department of State's website and the websites of our regional planning agency partners. So it is my great pleasure to introduce our panelists today. We have Beth Gillis, who is the director of the Lake George, Lake Champlain Regional Planning Board. We have Jeannie Gleisner, who's a program manager in the community planning and development area for the Southern Tier Central Regional Planning and Development Board. And we have Chelsea Robertson, who is the executive director of the Southern Tier Central Regional Planning and Development Board. Thank you all for your graciousness in being willing to present today. I will proceed to introduce our speakers and then we will get right into the meat of our webinar. So our first speaker today is Beth Gillis. Beth is a Glens Falls native who began working for the Lake George, Lake Champlain Regional Planning Board in 2008 and was promoted to director in 2018. In her time at the Regional Planning Board, she built a robust water quality program, branching out into new programs and funding streams for planning and implementation efforts within the Lake Champlain and Upper Hudson River watersheds. As director, Beth oversees the operations of the Regional Planning Board and its staff and works with the Board of Directors to craft the direction of the Regional Planning Board's programming. She works to secure federal funding for both our planning and implementation projects throughout the region, as well as for the Regional Planning Board. Beth attended Paul Smith's College and the University of Vermont, and she lives in Queensbury with her husband, 2 kids, and 2 dogs. Beth, please take it away.
Thanks, Danny. I'm gonna presentation up. Oh. Okay, well, thanks again for having me. I'm Beth Gillis. I'm the executive director of the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board. We were created in 1967 to promote sustainable economic development within our region. And we really act as the link between local needs and federal and state funding programs. We cover 5 counties in upstate, so we're at the top corner. We have a 2020 population of 245,000 people. About 80% of our region is within the Adirondack Park. And a fun fact, we have 2 of the 3 largest counties geographically, but we are one of the least populated regions. We really have 4 program areas here at our regional planning board. We have an economic development program, a community development program, a water quality program, and a small business assistance program. Really, the foundation of our economic development program is our comprehensive economic development strategy. So this is our 5-county economic development strategy. All of these elements listed on the slide are part of that. It's updated every 5 years. It's something that every regional planning board in the state is tasked to do by the federal government. We have 6 goals identified within that strategy. And then we have multiple strategies underneath those that we organize our work and our projects in. And I'm going to highlight a couple of the projects we're working on right now. One of our projects, ID number 8, is to install a new drinking well and expand the water district in one of our towns. And so we author and submit a lot of grants on behalf of our municipalities. So we authored and submitted a $30,000 USDA redevelopment planning grant for that work. We are actively working on a sewer separation project for the Washington County Sewer District number 2. So staff here put together a $5.5 million funding package through EFC using WIA, SRF, and BILL, and a DEC WQAP. So we just submitted all of those through this past CFA round. We're also involved in the development of a potential business park. So we're doing a feasibility study on behalf of the town, which we secured funding from National Grid to cover. One of the largest projects we're working on right now is the extension of water and wastewater infrastructure to the Canalside Energy Park in Fort Edward. So this is the site of the former GE dewatering facility. When GE was made to dredge PCBs out of the Hudson River, this is the site that they used to dewater that sludge, and then they sent it out on rail. When that process was over, GE kind of packed up and left. The local IDA or the county IDA purchased the property. It needs a wastewater extension to it and a water upgrade. And so we secured $600,000 to do the planning and engineering for that project. We also wrote and secured a $950,000 congressionally directed spending application or grant through HUD for implementation of that. And we're currently working on a $4 million FAST New York application to finish the construction of the water and the wastewater upgrades. Our community development program, we have a lot going on, but I'm going to touch on 2 of our main programs. So the first is our North Country Main Street Reinvestment Program, and the other is our Building Balanced Communities for the North Country program, which is work that we've been doing recently around workforce housing. So our Main Street Reinvestment Program really focuses on new and existing businesses, entrepreneur vitality, streetscape improvements, and redevelopment of vacant commercial properties. And we do this through various funding sources and kind of various efforts. I'm going to talk about some of the comprehensive planning stuff and some of the community strategies and the Main Street plans that we're currently working on. So we have 2 comprehensive planning efforts going on right now, one in the town of Johnsburg and one in Horicon in Warren County. These were funded through the New York State Department of State Comprehensive Planning Grant Program. So we wrote the grants on behalf of the communities, and we're now also doing the planning work. We kicked off Johnsburg a few months ago, and we're about to have our community outreach for that. And then Horicon was just awarded, and so we're going through the contracting process on that one. In the town of Hebron in Washington County, we did a community strategy. So this was funded through the Hudson River Valley Greenway. It is a much smaller effort than a comprehensive planning effort, but the town of Hebron had never done any kind of community planning before. So this was kind of us helping them wade into community planning. We put a survey out. We had over 120 responses on that. There was a lot of public outreach going on as part of this plan. We ended up with 9 goals, multiple strategies. better resulting in ideas like better communication from the town, but also, improving quality of life and keeping the cultural and agricultural characteristic of the town. The Recreation Economy for Rural Communities program. So this is an EPA technical assistance program, but it is competitive. So we wrote the grant and secured the technical assistance for the village of Granville in Washington County. And so the EPA provides technical assistance providers who help write the plans. They come and do a full 2-day community workshop for some of these pictures. We're actually wrapping up that process right now and finishing up the plan. Really, this program is meant to look at the recreation amenities within a community and how those can be translated into economic development and improvements in Main Street. So the village of Granville has a rail trail that goes through the village, and they wanted to be able to translate that into businesses and people visiting Main Street and staying in Granville, and it being an attraction for the region. So out of that effort, the top 3 strategies were to complete the trail connection to Vermont. So the trail goes through the village north to the town and then connects. In Vermont, there's a section of the trail that isn't complete. So we authored a $25,000 Rails to Trails Conservancy grant to help with the planning and the engineering to finish up that leg of the trail. One of the other strategies was to work with New York State DOT and the landowners to improve Main Street. So we authored a New York State Main Street planning grant that we just submitted in this past CFA round to work on that. And the other big thing was to improve the Meadowy Park, which is a riverfront park, the Meadowy River that the village owns. So we authored and submitted for the village an LWRP grant to do a park master plan, but also implementation of a splash pad and pickleball courts, because those are the 2 things that the community really wants to see at that park. So again, we just submitted those. We also secured funding from the USDA, the Rural Business Development Grant, to do 3 Main Street plans in 3 communities in Essex County. These plans are really focused on the connection between the waterfront and Main Street. And so these towns are all on Lake Champlain. There are a lot of Canadian tourists that come down into the country on their boats. They visit the towns along the lake, but there's not a lot of connection between the marinas and how those tourists are entering into the communities and Main Street itself, both physically and between quick connections between businesses and services and that. So we're working in those communities right now to figure out how we can better connect that kind of stream of the economy coming in through the lake and how we can get people up onto the Main Street for whatever reason, whether it's to go out to dinner or get some supplies or things like that. So we have the community outreach actually we're doing in all of those in the next couple of weeks. Building balanced communities for the North Country. This was our workforce housing plan. We did an economic resiliency plan in 2020, 2021. And one of the economic imperatives for our region that came out of that was access and stability for workforce housing. And so one of the strategies was to develop this assessment and strategy to figure out what we needed to do around workforce housing in our region. So we secured a $160,000 grant from the Northern Border Regional Commission to do this plan. We completed it in March of this year. So the plan includes a demographic and economic conditions analysis, a housing market analysis. We did a lot of community engagement, and the findings and strategies. I wanted to touch on 4 of them. So one of our first strategies was to support and grow the capacity of existing housing organizations. So we have an Adirondack Community Housing Trust already. They need funding to purchase and rehabilitate homes. So we wrote a $1.2 million congressionally directed spending grant for them for that. It did make it onto Senator Schumer and Gillibrand's lists. And so it's moving its way through the process and hopefully will be funded. Our second strategy was to realign workforce housing zoning. And so I have staff here who is working on a BMP guide for municipalities around zoning and workforce housing zoning. Our fourth strategy was to support workforce housing development in the Adirondack Park. And so we're actually just about to initiate work with the Adirondack Park Agency on kind of a pre-approval branded program for workforce housing within the region. There are a lot of regulations with development with the Adirondack Park Agency, but it's harder, it's not impossible. And I think that there's a lot of miscommunication and misinformation on how to work within those regulations. And so we're hoping to create a program where we can kind of cut through a lot of that red tape. And then the seventh strategy is to rebalance the region's housing by creating more long-term rentals. And we actually just found out yesterday that we were awarded $500,000 from the Northern Border Regional Commission to establish a revolving loan fund for the purpose of rehabilitating long-term rentals within our 5-county region. Our water quality program, we work a lot within the Department of State LWRP program. So we secured the funding for and wrote the Lake Champlain watershed plan, as well as the Upper Hudson River watershed plan. And then we were really heavily involved in the Schroon Lake watershed plan. We've used all three of those to secure millions of dollars for implementation projects around stormwater retrofits, roadside erosion, culverts, invasive species, other planning efforts. And so that's one of the big programs that we have in our water quality area. And then we also have a small business loan fund. So we give loans to small businesses, $20,000 to $200,000 within a 9-county footprint. And we work with existing businesses and startups. And we also have a small business technical assistance program that we just got off the ground. So we have an on-call consultant who will provide technical assistance to businesses within our 5 counties who need help on business plans or succession planning or financial planning and that kind of thing. We do a lot of grants. These are a lot of the programs that we work in. We also manage grants. So even if we didn't secure them, we do help our municipalities and our counties manage grants if they need assistance. And that's just a little bit on our website. So we actually have our comprehensive economic development strategy on our website. You can get the document, but we also have multiple pages where you can look at the information from it, but it's also got our project lists. We also have our Forward Together plan, and that whole initiative is on our website under our economic development tab. Under our About tab, we have a project portfolio, so you can look at a lot of the documents that we've put together. And then we also have a data dashboard, and we added a school enrollment dashboard on that as well. And so it's got community, economic, and housing information for our 5 counties. And that's it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Beth. I've been really impressed at the wide array of services your organization provides, and it's always nice to see, folks taking a look at zoning, BMPs. I always believe that zoning is the most important thing that nobody wants to care about. That's how it was phrased to me in graduate school, and I kind of held on to that. So thank you so much for your very enlightening presentation. I really appreciate it. Next on our list of distinguished panelists, we have Jeannie Gleisner. She is the program manager at the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board since 2008. She has worked with municipalities across 5 counties to develop long-range comprehensive plans, land use regulatory tools, and to provide public outreach and training in land use planning at the municipal level. She graduated summa cum laude from SUNY ESF with a master's degree in landscape architecture. As program manager for community planning and development at the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board, and as a landscape designer, her work entails both urban and rural site planning and design for community revitalization, resiliency, natural and cultural resource interpretation, and open space conservation. I am going to share your presentation, and thank you so much for being on our panel.
Thank you, Danny. And I guess first thing I want to say is that was great, Beth. That was really a great presentation and very full of all of the types of things that the regional planning boards do across the state. Well done. Nice work. So I just want to start out by saying, as a program manager at the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board, I work with municipalities across 5 counties. to develop long-range comprehensive plans, master plans, public outreach, and training in land use planning at the municipal level. So we assist municipalities in 5 counties, Cayuga, Cortland, Madison, Onondaga, and Oswego, with professional services in a broad range of program areas. And you can see them at the right here. They include economic development, energy management, environmental management, information and research services, intergovernmental coordination, and transportation planning. So basically, whatever a municipality has for a challenge in central New York, we should be able to help. My specific area of work is community planning and development, including comprehensive planning, community revitalization, brownfield redevelopment, GIS analysis, landscape and cultural resource design. So the range of technical assistance services includes targeted grant writing and coordinated project development undertaken in partnership with federal and state agencies, but most importantly, with municipal partners across our region. So next slide, please, Danny. Planning initiatives we bring to our constituents include a regional site profile database that provides detailed profiles of major development sites, one of which was recently selected by Micron. Our energy program hosts the Central New York Renewable Energy Challenge. Our environmental management program provides planning and technical assistance for all kinds of initiatives like the Stormwater Coalition, invasive species, things like that. And we host the Syracuse Metropolitan Transportation Council's long-range transportation planning and unified transportation planning program. Next slide, please. So I mentioned grant writing assistance. We assist communities in securing grant funding under a long list of state and federal and other programs, funding programs. The list at the right is just a few that we've had great success with. In the village of Pulaski, 4 buildings in the historic district were rehabilitated with $1.2 million in funding from the Restore New York, New York Main Street, and National Grid Main Street grant funding programs. In the town of Lafayette, $1.9 million in grant funding has just been awarded through 2 New York State programs for the stabilization, rehabilitation, and reuse of the Hamlet Center Crossroads building. And our office assisted the city of Oneida in a successful application to the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, the DRI program, that resulted in an award of $10 million for about a dozen downtown projects. So that was great news. That process involved a coordinated and inclusive public outreach and visioning effort, potential project identification and narratives, writing, mapping, and actually 2 rounds of applications submitted, but it did succeed. Next slide, please. So we use geographic information and other data resources to produce mapping and analyses for our communities. These are planning processes that identify important issues to be addressed and opportunities to target. Feasibility studies, planning and design get sites and partners ready to submit strong grant funding proposals, secure needed grant awards, and move to implementation and groundbreaking. Next slide, please. So through our comprehensive planning work, we assist communities with this kind of process, but at a municipality-wide level, identifying what and where the key issues are and what the community envisions for the future. The process, if well done, identifies catalytic projects that have the potential to make a significant impact on their own, but also serve to kick off additional positive developments, whether that be a single building rehabilitation in a declining area or to update an update to local development regulations to ensure the conservation of rural character when development demand grows. So I'm going to show you 3 examples of these types of projects. Next slide. The state of disrepair of the old Calet Theater was identified in the joint Town of Richland and Village of Pulaski Comprehensive Plan as a priority issue and potential historic rehabilitation project. The 1938 theater was once at the heart of a bustling village main street, but had become such an eyesore that the village was moving to, toward tearing it down. We knew this building could be restored to its rightful place in the historic district, and that it would be a strong asset that could be catalytic in bringing more improvements to the village. We assisted the village and a partnering community member as developer in applying for and winning $1.2 million in funding from 3 grant programs. Over the course of 3 years, we worked with the developer, project managing the building's rehabilitation. Next slide. So the result was really stunning. With New York State SHPO design approvals, the Carrera glass tiles were replaced. The theater marquee retained much of its original design, but was upgraded with LEDs. And the theater reopened with new convertible seating configurations that allow conference tables, live performances, or traditional theater seating. It was not an easy project, I'll say, and there were unexpected encounters along the way. But the rehabilitation of this building, along with 3 other buildings in the village, was catalytic, sparking further interest in and economic development in the village of Pulaski. The opening show at the theater was the Marshall Tucker Band. So that was a very good success. Next slide, please. The historic Selkirk Lighthouse was another key opportunity identified in the joint Town of Richland and Village of Pulaski Comprehensive Plan. At the mouth of the Salmon River, the lighthouse setting overlooking the river and sand dunes on Lake Ontario offers potential to become a prime destination for visitors to enjoy the waterfront and marina services there. It's really a rare, easily accessible historic lighthouse from New York State Scenic Route 3, the Seaway Trail. But in the 1950s, the historic character of the waterfront site had been compromised by the introduction of a paved roadway and guardrails between the lighthouse and the waterfront. So through grants from 2 New York State funding programs and working with a property owner, the county, and a healthy dose of community outreach, a feasibility study was developed, including design development and construction documentation that relocates the roadway to behind the lighthouse. Next slide. The historically compatible shovel-ready park design approved by New York State SHPO features a new public parking area and a waterfront pedestrian boardwalk with native lakeshore plantings and seating areas. The seawall was restored in 2022. With the engineering, planting, and lighting plans and construction documentation now done, the newly designed waterfront park and boardwalk is ready to be implemented with a future grant funding award. Next slide, please. In the hamlet of Lafayette, at the intersection of US Routes 20 and 11, the former Lafayette Hotel has a history dating back to 1807. Nevertheless, it has remained boarded up and used only for overflow auto repair parking for the last 20 years. Closed down due to a lack of septic system permitting, the 10,000 square foot building was identified as a priority issue to resolve in the town's 2021 comprehensive plan, along with the hamlet's revitalization. With a core group of community members, a positive vision for the building was developed and wastewater studies begun, even against a backdrop of loud cries for the demolition of the historic building at the Hamlet Center. Next slide. Our office worked with the town to initiate a process of identifying a capable, interested developer, collaborating with consultants and the community, developing a vision for the reuse of the building, and then submitted proposals for the needed grant funding to support the developer's plans. Based on a case study example in Sharon Springs, New York, the developer proposed to bring the building back to life as a 12-room guest inn and local foods restaurant. Detailed wastewater feasibility and market studies were completed. proving the project would be advantageous to the town, a good fit for New York State investment, and for the developer. The project was just awarded funding this spring and is projected to break ground in 2024. So there are many other exciting projects happening in our region. The three I've shown illustrate what's possible to accomplish with some good guidance, strong grant proposals, and a healthy dose of determination. Where there is increasing demand for new development in our towns and villages, that development can positively or negatively impact our downtowns, depending on municipal preparation for it. In upstate New York, our rural character is a prime asset. Many of our downtowns are small villages or hamlets surrounded by farms or forest lands. Revitalization of our village and hamlet centers is key, and there's room to grow them. But keep in mind that a community's rural character and downtown vibrancy also depends on updated zoning and subdivision regulation because it locates development in the best place and form. There are new land use tools available that can help bring revitalization to our downtowns, keeping them thriving, while also preserving what we love about living here, our rural character. So this is also an important aspect of planning for revitalization. My contact information is here. So I encourage you, if you're a community in Central New York, in one of these 5 counties, to contact me. Hopefully our team can help whatever your planning challenges may be.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jeannie, for a very enlightening presentation.
Thank you.
And I think that Central New York will certainly be in the spotlight with Micron planning to come in. And I think that the communities in your region will be in great hands, especially with your organization's multifaceted technical assistance capabilities. I really like the landscape architecture renderings; those are really great. It continues to go to show how regional planning agencies really can, get down on the community level and really help their projects come to life. It's a great, and as Beth and Jeannie have both shown, regional planning agencies really have a lot to offer, and they can really assist communities take on projects that may have previously seemed onerous, cost prohibitive, or just too difficult from a technical perspective. And now we're going to move to the southern tier of New York, and we have Chelsea Robertson on deck to present for us. I'm going to stop sharing, and I am going to introduce Chelsea. So Chelsea is the Executive Director of the Southern Tier Central Regional Planning and Development Board, or STC, in Corning, New York. She holds a bachelor's degree in political science and geography and a master's degree in public administration. Chelsea has worked for STC for 15 years and was appointed director 5 years ago. STC serves the 3-county region of Chemung, Schuyler, and Steuben counties. STC has assisted communities and municipalities in grant writing, administration of both Appalachian Regional Commission funding as well as Economic Development Administration funding. STC also leads the regional charge in water quality and flood mitigation initiatives. STC's most recent innovation is a cross-state border project working with the Northern Tier of Pennsylvania on workforce development and placement, coordinating between 2 states and a total of 8 very rural counties. Currently a finalist, the award is expected to be announced in the coming weeks. So thank you very much, Chelsea, and please feel free to take it away.
Right. Thank you so much, Danny, and thank you to my partners here in my other regional board. Sorry, I'm trying to share the screen at the same time here. Does everybody see that? I think so, right?
Yes, I can see it.
So I tried to, in thinking about how to put this presentation together, and know that we have Beth and Jeannie here. I didn't want to be too repetitive, so I tried to do that. So I'm going to speed through a couple of slides. STC, like the other regional boards, does a lot of the similar things. I wanted to kind of focus on how we can assist with some of that downtown revitalization, being that the DRI is currently out as well as the New York Forward. Like many of our other regional boards in the state, created in 1969 or around that time. We have the 3-county region, very rural, 76 municipalities, 3 cities, and a total population of under 200,000. So one thing that is different about STC than our 2 partners here is that we are considered an LDD, which is Local Development District, for Appalachian Regional Commission, which is one of the oldest commissions in the country. We are the northernmost part of Appalachia. That is part of our federal government funding. We get New York State grants, of course, county involvement, and then other kinds of sources of funding. So Appalachia Regional Commission developed regional boards and said, think about it like a 3-legged stool. You are, like Beth described, you are a piece of the puzzle. You are the local piece of the puzzle here in the Southern Tier, and we coordinate between our state and federal partners. So if this is our ARC map, Appalachian Regional Commission, if you live in any of these states, there are 3 regional commissions, three regional boards that may serve you, Southern Tier 8, myself at Southern Tier Central, or Southern Tier West. You are eligible for additional federal funding. And my office, as well as my 2 counterparts to the east and the west of me, are charged with helping you get that funding. So we run a grant program that where the grants are submitted to our offices, and then they're ranked locally, and then they move on to the state, and then they move down to the federal government for approval. So this is something we've been doing for about 50 years, and it's has a real positive impact on our region. State government, we see funding from Brownfield Opportunity Areas Program, LWRP, state archives. We've helped with a number of those grants. FEMA and hazard mitigation grants, and then Empire State Development. And then our counties, sometimes they fund us for special projects or help to meet the match, as well as our municipalities do the same, our local funding. So similar to my other 2 individuals on the call here, we have similar program areas: economic development, human services, telecommunications, local municipal assistance in the way of planning, GIS, training, education, water quality, hazard mitigation, and flood mitigation. We do employ a certified floodplain manager who is our representative both on the state level and the federal level. We also, in 2008, created a nonprofit middle mile broadband network that is now its standalone nonprofit, but we do work very closely with them. I sit on the board of directors. We share office space, and so we have our hands in a lot of middle mile broadband build out and broadband planning on the regional level and statewide level. So examples of recent projects, I try to just pull out the things we've been doing real recently, similar to some of the projects you've heard from Beth and Jeannie, which is we were just announced in the first round of the FAST New York for some pre-development planning work, very exciting for an industrial site. We were able to take that money and match it against a ARC grant. So that was exciting that we were able to fund a much larger project. That's something that, all of us, you'll hear a lot about the grant funding. I mean, I look at my job as if there's anything I can do for the region or for these municipalities in my region is bring as many dollars as possible to them. And I think you hear that from the other 2 individuals on the call as well. So we helped pull that program together, and that was just announced last week. Recent winner of what's called an ARC, so Appalachian Regional Commission, Ready LDD program. This is a building capacity program for our municipalities where it'll fund my office to help write, obtain, and administer FEMA, USDA, rural development, and CDBG funding for municipalities, targeting those rural municipalities that otherwise would not be able to go after those funds, knowing that capacity is a real issue in these rural areas. And then sorry, got carried away here. And then as mentioned before, we are currently a finalist. We have not been awarded. I have to make that very clear, but we're really excited about it. A pretty innovative project, a workforce development project, which would be worth $5 million. That would be working with the northern tier of PA and trying to work across those statewide borders, which is as hard as it sounds. So trying to figure out how we can coordinate between Pennsylvania and New York to address, being that we're a border community, and our workforce we know is traveling down to PA and vice versa, and how can we work together to fill those jobs that we have, those job openings, and provide the training necessary. So other recent projects, we're currently in the middle of an LWRP for Montour Falls. We finished up a BOA for Irwin, Riverside, and Painted Post not too long ago. We have 3 comp plans going right now. We, at any one time, will have 1 to 3 comp plans happening at a time. Of these 3 comp plans, only one of them was awarded by, or only one applied for and was awarded by New York State. The other 2 self-funded, which was great. We always like to see that. And zoning law rewrites, we have 2 of those going on right now. Like the other 2 individuals on the phone, SEDS is our guiding principle or guiding document. That's our comprehensive economic development strategy, and really decides how we're moving forward as a region, and what decisions we make as far as economic development goes. And then we were lucky enough to be awarded a few years ago, along with the other regional boards, CARES Act funding, which allowed us to do reports on childcare, commercial space, residential analysis, workforce analysis, and address supply chain issues. So these are the toolboxes, or this is what we have in our toolbox here in the office. So those are the kind of projects we've been working on. What I like to try to make sure municipalities and counties know is, first off, don't forget about us. It's always difficult for us to make sure folks know who we are. With newly elected officials every year and revolving board members and planning boards, it's hard to keep reminding them that regional boards exist and we're here as a resource. All of those projects that I've mentioned and you've heard on the call come with a lot of data that we can help you move forward to other projects. So let's not recreate the wheel. Certainly call us up and tell us what you have in mind and see if we can help. So we can provide services of mapping to municipalities or counties or nonprofits, mapping, coordination, plan and narrative review, creating those partnerships, provide comprehensive planning or comprehensive background information and previous plans, and access to data. So this is, when you're thinking about, and I really focused on just because they're out right now, and I know originally Danny was talking to us about New York Forward and DRI. What can our regional boards do? We have a lot of information that we can share with you, and we often can provide additional pieces to the puzzle when you're pulling together those applications. My office employs mostly planners, 4 planners, an economic developer, a GIS professional, certified floodplain manager, and water quality specialist, and an accountant that specializes in government. The nice thing about the accounting is she can help describe what it's like to administer those grants and what it's going to mean to your community. So moving forward here, in preparing an application, some of the things we think you should think about, or going after any of these large funding sources is, do you have updated comprehensive plans? If you don't, we encourage you to reach out to us. We're really good at that kind of stuff. We can help you. Do you have ongoing engagement with your public, residents, businesses? This is going to be vital so that you know that you are putting forth projects and ideas that are well supported by your community. Updated zoning, but I said or knowledge of improvements that need to be. Often that there needs to be some updates there, and we can help you get there. And then this is really big, and we've talked a lot to our communities in this region about ongoing communication with your county officials, your state officials, and your regional board. We're all here to help municipalities, and nothing's worse than we get surprised by a DRI or a New York Forward application going in that we didn't know about, because often we can't help advocate for you, can't help spread the word about how good this is and what the positives are, or add data to it. There's a lot that we can add, a lot of information we have in our office. And then always notify your Regional Economic Development Council members and co-chairs of potential applications. So just more on that, tips, tricks, and advice for any planning project moving forward. Just communicate with everyone, bring everybody to the table, so that everybody can add a piece to the puzzle. Another thing, I was talking about the data that we have. So we actually, and I think a lot of the other regional boards do as well, pay for data that others may not have. So we may be able to give you some mobile phone data where people are visiting, what they're doing, to really support some of the claims of the projects that you're looking to fund. And also, have an internal advocate, really a champion for the project, capable of articulating the vision. One thing that we don't like to see is that a community says, hey, I want some DRI money. I think I'll hire a consultant. They'll do the work. A consultant's never going to be able to communicate that vision as well as someone from that municipality can. Consultants are great. We encourage you to, and I even have here on my 4th bullet, consider professional assistance. Certainly, if you're in a position to work with a consultant, I wouldn't advise against it, but make sure that it's not the consultant doing all the work. If you're passionate about having something funded locally, you should have some champions there to articulate that. And just do your homework. Make sure you have talked to all the partners, you have all the data lined up, you have all the previous plans lined up, so you're not recreating the wheel, and you'll be in good space. And so here is our website. I encourage you to go to that. A lot of the data I'm talking about is available on that website. Similar to, actually, Beth, I haven't looked at your website in a while, but we have some, it's funny, independently, we've developed very similar websites. So we also have a GIS dashboard. I believe that Central New York also has one where you can access a lot of information there. Look to that. If you have any questions, reach out to our boards to ask those questions. Often there's more we have in the office that we can send to you. Maybe you aren't able to produce it publicly on a website. And we just encourage you to reach out, and remember, we're here.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. I'm really I was always kind of starstruck by Chemung and Steuben counties in particular, just because they've been on the forefront of cutting edge water quality best practices in the Chesapeake Bay region of New York. I was formerly New York's lone representative on the Chesapeake Bay Local Government Advisory Committee, so I heard all about all the cool stuff that Mark Watts and others are doing down there. And I think that it's very exciting to see each of your organizations presentations. It really kind of gives a lot of credence to the phrase responsible regionalism, in that one of the most important aspects of smart growth is really coordinating between the state, regional planning boards, county governments, and local governments as we all work to make New York State a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Sorry for the colloquialism or the very cliche language of planners, but it's true. I really do believe strongly in vertical integration, especially when it comes to planning. I wanted to give folks in the chat an opportunity to type in their questions. If we don't get any Q&A, I have a few myself that I want to kind of facilitate a discussion since we are a little bit ahead of schedule. We can end promptly at 1, so I'll give folks a few seconds to ask questions. I'll monitor the chat and read them out if they do type them in. Just to start, I think one of the main kind of points of feedback I get when going to communities is it's really cool to apply for grants and know what's available, but when should communities start thinking about applying, and when should they be in contact with your organizations? And any of you guys can jump in at any time and talk.
I'll jump in. I mean, the earlier the better. I mean, I wouldn't ever discourage someone from doing a last minute application, because it's good practice for when you'll be funded the following year and you do it a second time. But a year in advance, I mean, if you see other folks applying for funding and you're like, boy, I'd like some of that and I have good uses for it, start pulling that application together based on the previous year's application. Don't wait for the application to come out and then start reading and then start talking to your neighbors and talking to your everybody that needs to be involved. You should be preparing for that before the application comes out generally.
Thank you, Chelsea. And Beth or Jeannie, do you have any insight you'd like to share?
Yeah, I agree. And we're about 50-50. So about 50% of the time we have communities reach out to us and say, hey, we have an idea or we want something. Can you figure out how to help us fund it? And that's one of the things that we really do. We know the state and the federal programs. We know what you can put into what program, what's for planning, what's for implementation, what the requirements are, what the match is. So we can really help develop those. So even if you just have an idea or you think that you want something, your community wants something, reach out to us and let us know. And then there's times where we'll see programs come out and my staff will meet and we'll talk about what we know, what's going on in our communities and say, hey, you know, community X, you know, has been doing this. This would be a really good fit. And then we'll reach out to the communities to see if they're interested in doing any projects. So for us, it's about 50-50, but I agree with Chelsea. Even if you just have an idea and the funding's not open, that's okay. Give us a call and we'll help you develop it. But the sooner, you know, the sooner the better, because it's really good to think about these grant applications as much as you can.
I mean, often I have folks come to me with an idea and they think they know what funding source they're going after. And then once I hear the idea, I have better ideas on how to go after that. So, you know, sometimes we know of funding sources that you may not. And sometimes there's like weird funding sources that are just out for a little while and only regional boards can apply for it. And you never know when those are happening. So communicating with us about those ideas, we can align that for you and show you your best options.
Excellent. Thank you. And I think that, you know, that kind of ties into another question. I know you guys do deal a lot with federal funding ranging from ARC funds to Northern Border Regional Commission funding in your case, Beth, and you know, USDA rural development funds, and you know, it's all across the state. So like how, you know, when communities are thinking about like a federal grant application, how should they, you know, approach your organizations to apply for them? And how would some of those federal programs tie in with some of the stuff that we're doing at the state level?
I'll say that one of the good things with federal and state funding is most of the time you can match them to each other and, you know, come up with a whole project package. So when you get into these really large projects, one funding source is not going to fund the entire thing. You have to come up with a multi-tiered package to get it funded. So that's, you know, a good interaction between federal and state funding. A lot of the federal programs that are out right now are really big with like huge dollar amounts. And it actually makes more sense, especially the planning ones, to do it regionally, because it makes sense to do a $500,000 regional plan, not a, you know, a $500,000 town plan or county plan sometimes. So that's how you can kind of integrate with us in what planning we've already done. And a lot of times communities will think that they need something that maybe we've already done on a regional level. We can break it down for them without a grant to a more localized level. But sometimes it helps, you know, spark an idea that we end up taking, you know, an idea of one county and turning it into a 5-county program or grant application.
I would add to that too. I think sometimes the benefit of the federal funding is often that, like Beth says, it's a possible way of adding to a larger project funding that you would otherwise be required to come up with yourself in some way, match funding. A lot of times the federal funding can match the state grant funding, and you end up having a project that is almost entirely paid for through grant funding when there's a federal grant involved. And so I would definitely encourage folks to, you know, talk to us as regional planning boards about any big project ideas that are, you know, starting to percolate up, or any visions even that that you may have for your community, that we can help kind of coalesce into a, you know, coordinated multi-grant proposal that could actually make it come to life.
Excellent. And that's kind of a, you know, interesting points you guys bring up. I had a few communities in the Mohawk Valley who received funding through the USDA Regional Placemaking Innovation Challenge and they've done a lot of community outreach, which they then, you know, were interested in pursuing, you know, state funding through us. So I think that's, you know, kind of really interesting insights you guys share, and it kind of ties into some of, kind of my next question, which really I wanted to kind of talk about comprehensive plans in a way. And I was, I know this is kind of, a lot of people here, that comprehensive plans are important for you guys to get, for communities to get grants. They're helpful, but then again, comprehensive plans are massive undertakings. So there's some inertia associated or inherent with comprehensive plans. They're a big project, small towns, feel afraid to do them. Cities feel like there's too much to analyze, etc. But if there was one tip you could give, or one piece of encouragement or tip you could give to communities who are thinking about updating their comp plans, particularly in light of the availability of state and federal funds, what would you tell them to convince them to get started?
We tell them is if you want money for an implementation project, you need it listed in a plan. And a comp plan, a watershed plan, some kind of effort to show the state or the federal funding agency that you talk to the community, you worked this out, and that you're moving forward, with a combined vision for your community. And so, you can't just jump right to implementation. If you're going to be competitive in any kind of grant program, you need to show that there was some kind of comprehensive planning effort undertaken that got you to that conclusion that now, you want implementation project or money for a project.
Yeah, and comprehensive planning.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
That's right.
Comprehensive planning doesn't have to take forever to accomplish. A little over a year of focused effort can get a comprehensive plan launched when you're working with, experienced people that know what they're doing and have those resources readily available, which is what we do at regional planning boards. And also, we always stress that there are reasons why a comprehensive plan is really important and is looked at as a basis for funding, for grants being awarded, because a fresh look at
Looks like
Did she oh,
and
my-
you really have to have that documented and understand it better. I'm sorry, am I breaking up?
just a little, but I think we got the gist.
Okay.
I would say in my communities, many of my communities don't have zoning and have no desire to have zoning, and they're terrified that a comprehensive plan ultimately leads to zoning. So talking about not necessarily, this is just a plan for your community and for you to understand what the residents of your community want and what the public wants. I also, these same communities have a lot of turnover on their boards. And I think when I've talked to them on top of the grant piece, which Beth spoke about, is it's really, you can talk to them about, look, don't you want to know, do you have a good feel for what your residents want on this whole long list of topics? And often they don't, and how you want to prioritize your spending. And you can use that comprehensive plan to prioritize, make spending decisions at the town level or village level. And then that gives you some backup for why you're making those decisions. That gives you something to reflect on, that when angry residents come to you, why did you make this decision? Why did you choose to put a priority here? You can say, look, we did a comprehensive plan process. There was all these opportunities for public input, and we know that these are important to the majority of our residents. So we talk a lot about that, and many of my communities utilize it in that way, and actually have linked it with some capital planning as well, and been able to tie those two together to just be making better fiscal decisions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chelsea. I mean, I'm, being in the Mohawk Valley, I'm particularly keen on the trepidation around zoning. And what I always tell folks is that there are many different types of zoning. And if you feel like it's a handcuff around what you're trying to do, chances are you're doing it wrong. So I think that's a really good insight that you share, and that, comprehensive plans don't necessarily lead to zoning. That's important for communities to understand. We are approaching 1 o'clock, so I do want to end on time. For those who attended the presentation and for those who are watching the recording, all of the presentations will be available. This webinar recording will be available We will distribute a recording to all panelists, and the finished product or video will be on our DOS website. I want to thank all of the panelists for taking time out of their very busy schedules, particularly as we're moving, at the end of CFAs and in the summer vacation time. We were so grateful for your quick turnaround and willingness to present. DOS is very eager and excited and honored to have the ability to partner with our regional planning boards, and we hope to foster and grow this partnership going forward. I do not see any questions in the chat. So with that said, I will thank everybody for attending, and we really appreciate your interest and willingness to participate. And for all folks involved, I strongly encourage you to reach out to your regional planning agencies to get help from them from everything related to economic development, regional planning, comp planning, and beyond. Thank you, everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful Thursday and a wonderful week.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thanks, Danny.
Take care. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Take care. Bye.